Hi everybody, I am back and today is, sorry I'm reaching for yesterday's heart. Today is day 22. This is the heart I made yesterday. I am sorry I did not put out a video, but I had a very kind of crazy busy day. Well, for me. I tried to do a video in the morning, but it was 11 o'clock before I could get started. I will be honest with you. See all the little seed stitches? I will be honest with you. And the fly stitches with the nuts. I don't get out of bed very early. I wake up early enough. I'm usually awake anywhere from 4 to 6 a.m., but I do lounge in bed. I'm going to be 67 this year. I'm allowed. The sun is coming in. If you can see over there, I have closed most of the curtains, but then it gets really dark in here. So, and I've got my lamp. Pulled it so close to the edge, it's probably going to fall off. So I hope this video is bright enough. If not, let me know, and I apologize ahead of time. So I decided I was going to do some neutrals, and this, and this came out of those little 2.5-inch squares, one of those packets that I bought and showed on one of the previous videos. This fabric here I had in my stash from who knows when. So yeah, so there it is. I have not cut it down yet. You may hear birds and you may hear wind. And if you do, and it bothers you, I am sorry. I apologize. I know that's not very professional in some people's opinions, but I am very warm. I just got through cooking over the stove, and I am very warm. And this room gets warm when I shut the door, and the sun is blaring in here in the afternoon. Not complaining. I love the sunshine. I would have those curtains open right now, but I'm not sure how that would work when it ends up shining on my lap. So that could be a little bothersome to people as well. And I don't have a professional studio, so there it is. I am who I am, says Popeye, and in my bio on I think it's Facebook. It's like, take me or leave me. I am who I am. So, I guess I'm in a feisty mood today. I don't know why. Don't know why. Let me focus on cutting this, because I'm probably cutting it too close as it is, because when you stitch, it all sort of sucks it in, and these pins are sucking it in as well. And so yeah, there's all of that going on. I hope this finds all of you well. I have some new subscribers, and I want to say thank you for subscribing and welcome. I appreciate it very much. Don't know that you'll learn anything here, but I'm here if you want to stitch or pull up a chair and do whatever other craft you do, or have a cup of tea and just hang out. I'm cool with that. I'm using DMC 738 and 712. Some of them I have said in the past, but I will let you know again. Some of my embroidery threads are very, 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 very old. Like maybe more than 20 years old. So yes. I have gone looking for a couple of the numbers before, and they don't even make it anymore. They've replaced it with a new die lot and a new number, or they just don't make it anymore. So hey, it is what it is. I am going to try this darker thread. I think I'm going to like it. If not, I will use the lighter thread, or maybe I'll mix and match. But we have a lot of pieces to connect. Sure. I'm just looking at it to see. I didn't line them up perfectly. Like this one goes over here and this one goes over here. I'm fine with that. Honestly, you know, I'm going for that kind of wild, eclectic kind of look. I want to make sure I can cut around this and have that not be jiggity jaggedy, because when I cut it the first time I did a jiggity jaggedy job. Or a baji job, or however you are used to saying it. Baji is a good word. I like that word. So yesterday, Tony had an appointment at 1. No, an appointment at 2. I tried to start the video at 11. It took me 3 tries to get it started the best way. I flubbed it up a couple of times, had to stop for something else. Welcome to my world. And then I had, I don't know, maybe a half an hour videoed, maybe 20 minutes to a half an hour. And our daughter called, and I'll just say that we don't talk to her very often. She's a very busy woman. So when she calls, I like to answer, and oh my gosh, it's going to be one of those days again. That's where I'm headed with yesterday's video. So I ended up speaking with her about probably maybe 15-20 minutes. Like I said, busy person. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. And so it was good to catch up with her. Yeah, that's not going to work either, Martha. Well, this might go down the tubes too. So by then it was something like 11:40, 11:45. So I figured, no, by then it was noon. I think I started the video after the couple of mess ups and starting it over at least twice, maybe 3 times. I can't remember now. I finally got it started, so it must have been probably more like maybe 10 or 15 after 11. Yeah, that's probably about when I started the actual video that I thought was going to be okay. Teach me for thinking. And so I spoke with her, hung up. By then it was noon. And we had to leave the house at 1 because we knew we would probably we know where the place is. It's not that far away. Well, relatively not that far away. And we left at 1, drove to the hospital. And we poked my finger. And we try and decide if I want to just keep going straight. I think I will. This is going to have a lot of stitches in it. That's something that I decided at the beginning. We had to drive around and find a parking spot, which was a little tricky. And then we had to walk to get to the door we had to go in and go up an elevator, find the place, sign in, blah, blah, blah. They took us in really fast. The lady checking us in once we were in the room was a little pokey, but that's okay. So then, doctor comes in, speaks to Tony, and he was very nice. And he, see, I'm getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's okay. I'm going to go with it. He wasn't really the doctor to address the issue that's going on. And I knew that. I knew when Tony told me who he had made the appointment, what kind of doctor he had made the appointment with. I knew then that it wasn't the correct type of doctor. However, I can't tell him anything. So he was determined to see this guy and try and take it that route, but it wasn't the correct one. So the doctor said, I want to set you up for an MRI, and I want to set you up with this other doctor. And Tony has a real aversion to MRIs. He's had one, and he did not do well with it at all, even with drugs. So, he was trying to find another way around getting an MRI. But this doctor said, no, it has to be an MRI. There's no other, CT scan won't work, and X-ray doesn't work, and blah, blah, blah. So Tony was not exactly the happiest camper when we left there. Now, we don't feel it's anything serious. This is an issue he's been dealing with off and on since 1985, really. So I've suggested another route for him to take, another idea of how to handle it. And he's considering that. He's taking it under his consideration. So we'll see. But it's not anything dangerous or drastic. It's just annoying for him, and it's an old injury, and it does have somewhat of an effect on his life, but it's not life-threatening. Thank goodness. And the last time he had something done about this same injury, it did become life-threatening because he got a blood clot from the surgery. And his uncle passed away from a blood clot after surgery years and years and years ago. So I don't want to go through that. I wasn't excited that he was pursuing this again. But to be fair, he's not excited that I am pursuing getting a knee replacement. But then I'm not either. It's really not what I want to do. I'm very afraid that having more metal in my body, I mean, I have a ton of fillings in my teeth, and having more metal in my body is going to add to my other aches and pains, and I'm just, so many things can go wrong. So, but I have started doing exercises for my knees, and they have helped. So I am trying to hold off, but we'll see. I do have a doctor's appointment in May, and I will probably follow through with that and see what he says. There is such a thing as a partial knee replacement now, but I don't know if I qualify because my knee is in such bad shape. I am really, really playing thread chicken here. Oh my goodness gracious, Martha. Ah! Okay. I had to check my finger, make sure it wasn't bleeding. This is the one I always poke. So anyway, that was yesterday. So by the time we got home, I mean, there's other places in that town that I would have liked to have gone, But we both had a really light lunch, and I was starving. I mean, all I had was some vegetable soup, and it's homemade vegetable soup. And there's like no fat in it. There's potatoes, corn, peas, carrots. That's it. And very, very, like, no salt added vegetable stock. And it's good, but it doesn't keep me full for the rest of the afternoon. I usually have a nice bowl of salad with that. However, yesterday my stomach was quite nervous about this appointment, and I did not have the salad. So I was starving. And usually around between 2 and 3 o'clock, I have a nice cup of green decaf tea and something to snack on. So I've been snacking on Golden Delicious apples because that's what I like. Tony likes galas, I think, but I don't like them. So I came home, had my apple and peanut butter, and I eat an organic peanut butter that is just peanuts. They don't add salt, they don't add anything else, no sugar, anything. So I had that, and it was very good. Filled me up until dinner, which was only 2 hours away, because it was like 3 o'clock by the time we got home. And then by then, I just wanted to finish the heart and get it done because it needed to be done for the day. And I was not going to try and turn the video back on, restart it where I'd left off. That wasn't going to work. All right. I think I'm done doing the fly stitch. However, what do I want to do here? Well, I should go up this way and then down that way. All right, let's see if we do this. I'm thinking. I'm doing in my head what I think should work, but I don't think it will because of the way I started. I'm just going to do stitches. I don't want to overthink anything. All right. So I just couldn't make the video yesterday, and I apologize. I'm sorry if anybody missed out. As you can see, I did a lot of stitches in it. It was very meditative for me, and some days that's just what I need, is to just stitch and not overthink it, not get too fancy, not try to find things to talk about, not all that stuff. So I'm doing my best to show every day what I'm trying. I am doing my best, I promise. Today, Tony told me he wanted to take the van out. We have a Class B RV van, and we wanted to take it out and run it because, you know, it's a vehicle. And so we drive it at least once a week. When we had the dogs, who are no longer with us, unfortunately, but when they were still with us, we would take them everywhere we went. I hate pins. I absolutely hate having pins, but I don't like using glue either. So yeah, so we took the van way more than we took the car back when the dogs were still with us. But it's been a year since my little Evan passed away, and it's been a year and a half since little Gabby. No. What is this? 23, 22, 21. Yeah, a year and a half. I think. Oh, that's terrible. Well, just drop those scissors. Can't remember if it's been a year and a half or 2.5. It might have been 2.5 now since Gabby left us. And I definitely miss them both tremendously. So, but we've talked about it, and we are not getting another dog because the heartbreak that we endured over the last few years was just too much. Like, it took me an entire year to come back from losing Evan. Evan was my little right hand guy, so he left a big hole in my life when he left. And I don't know that I could take that again. And I know that I would compare every other dog I ever had to him, and that would not be fair to the other dogs at all. So, because he was amazing. He was perfect all the time. That dog never did one bad thing ever. Ever. So, it would be very, very hard for me to find another dog that could not replace him, but, you know, take another place in my heart. So, anyhow, so we took the van out for a ride. It's a very sunny day today. But boy, let me tell you what. That wind is howling. And I mean, the trees are swaying sideways, and we were driving. Well, Tony was driving. I was holding on for dear life. This van is just under 10 feet tall. So it is a high top van. If you're used to seeing like work vans, plumbers and the Amazon vans and that kind of thing, if you're used to seeing those, that's pretty much what our van looks like. But it is a high top, and some of those vans are not. But anyway, we'd get to an area where there were no trees and no homes. It was just an open area. And holy cow, we were blowing sideways. Tony had every so often grabbed the steering wheel with 2 hands. Because, you know, men don't drive with 2 hands. And it's like, whee! Woohoo! Yay! It was crazy. Crazy out there. And it's still blowing pretty good. There's a big Noreaster, which for those of you maybe not in this country, a Noreaster is where the storms come in this country from typically from west to east. And when they come across the country, say this is the US, when they come across the country or they come up from the south, they hit this area on the coast, and the north gets more snow. The south typically does not get snow. However, they get snow most years, some snow in one way or another. Anyway, so like we're about here, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and then you have like Pennsylvania, all the New Yorks and Rhode Island and Long Island and all that up here. And then you have Maine and, you know, New Hampshire, Vermont and all that, New York. So this storm came across and went like this and just missed us. Say we're this flower, just missed us. And all these people up here they've been having a blizzard all day, yesterday and today. And the wind just keeps blowing. The low front out here in the ocean just blows this storm around and around and around. And they call it a nor'easter because it goes north and then it goes west and then it comes east, and it just does this big circle. And it picks up all the moisture from the ocean, and it just keeps dumping all over those northern states. So I'm pretty sure that, and if there's anybody out there from Maine, let me know if I'm right or wrong, but I'm pretty sure they didn't have much snow before March. But man, they are getting socked. Yesterday and today, they've been getting socked. Just bad. And is very typical nor'easter. And the wind is just going bananas out there. And it was blowing this van around really well. So we were going to go up north and go to there is a creative reuse center up north in Alexandria. And I said to Tony, I want to go up today. We've been meaning to go up, but either weather or we'd get up in the morning and we didn't feel good. So last night I told him I'd really like to try and go up. And I thought the wind was supposed to stop and it wouldn't have been any big deal. But when we got out on the road, I was like, I don't want to go anymore. He started laughing. He's like, why not? Yeah, this wind and us getting on the interstate, not a good, no. There's a lot of large trucks, the 18-wheeler kind of trucks, big box trucks. Everybody uses I-95 from north to south and south to north. And I was like, no, this wind is just not, Nope, I'll pass. We'll go another day. So he's like, okay, if you're sure. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to talk and do this at the same time, and I don't usually do these cross hatches very well, but did okay. I survived it. Just one more. So I said, how about we just go over to Home Goods, and I'll poke around in there. I like to poke around in Home Goods. I love kitchen stuff. So he was like, okay. So we stop at Home Goods, get out of the van, try not to blow away. And of course the wind is making the temperature feel even colder than it is. So we get inside and I find, he's like, let's look for a cutting board, because my cutting boards are quite old and they need to be replaced. Let's just put it that way. They need to be replaced. And so we looked for the cutting boards, and I found one that was acacia wood. I believe that's how you say it. And acacia, like bamboo, is supposed to be very good wood and very sustainable. And I like the cutting boards that have a ridge kind of grooved into the edge. Not a ridge. A groove in the edge of the... If we put groove and edge together, you get ridge. Anyway, in the edge, because when I'm cutting like tomatoes or things that are juicy like that, the ridge catches it and then it doesn't roll off onto your countertop and stuff. I haven't been able to find any like the set I already have. And so we found one that was acacia wood. It was wrapped in plastic. I should have known better. Also, made in China, of course. Can you find anything that's not made in China? Anyhow, what I need to do is go to a craft show and see if there's anybody who's made a cutting board that I like, that has the little groove cut out around the edge. But anyhow, so we found that, and he said we need to replace the dish drainer. So, you know, the little rack and the tray that you put up and you put your dishes in it. We wash all our dishes by hand. It's just, I mean, I've had dishwashers. I have a dishwasher. We haven't used it in the almost 7 years that we've been here. Barely ever used the dishwasher back at the farm. When I was working and we had a dishwasher, I used it occasionally. But I just find it faster. That's not going to work, Martha. Faster to wash the dishes by myself. I've always found that if the dishes sit in the dishwasher, like even if I rinse every one of them off, and if you're going to do that, just wash them, right? I know you guys probably don't agree with me, but this is my take on it. Then the dishes sit in the dishwasher, and by the time we would build up enough dishes to run the dishwasher, everything else would be dried onto them, and the dishwasher didn't get them clean anyway, because where we live, everywhere we've lived here, has very, 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 very extremely hard water, and that doesn't get things clean. So, you know, it's quite difficult. I think they're all tacked down now in one form or another. So it's very difficult. We just wash our dishes by hand. It's just what works for us. Okay. I'm just going to keep going with this color. So, we need a new dish strainer or dish drainer, and the mat that goes underneath it. Well, I found a style that I've seen on Amazon and stuff like that, and I really like it. So I picked it up and didn't look it over real well, and I should know better. I really should know better. We get it home. I'm letting my threads untangle so I can get them apart. We get it home, and I'm unwrapping it very carefully, just in case. You know, just in case. I do that. I don't tear things apart and cut things apart willy-nilly, because I'm one of those people that if I'm not satisfied, I return it. I don't have the kind of money to mess around and keep stuff I don't like. So I'm starting to take it apart, and I start to, it has it had this piece in it that had a round part on the end, and it's the part that snaps on the bottom and lets the water drain out. And where you snap it on, there's like this circle with like little slots in it for the water to run out. Well, I start taking the packaging off of it, and there's one of those warnings on the back that says the state of California has deemed that this could potentially contain this hazardous chemical in it, and it could possibly disrupt your hormones and, you know, cause issues and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, great. Well, I know the state of California does have a lot of warnings on stuff. I've seen them on many things before. And I know the state of California is more strict and has more warnings on things than any other state in the U.S. So I was like, well, okay, I'll keep it. I like the style. I'll ignore the warning, maybe. So I go to snap the drain on, and I realize there's a hole, not where it's supposed to drain, but in one corner, like in this corner of the tray. Well, if there's a big hole there, all the water's going to run through that and onto my countertop. It was broken. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I tell Tony about it. He was making his soup at the time. We don't eat the same things. We eat the same things, but we don't like them to taste the same. It's really hard to describe, but we're the odd couple. So anyway, he makes his soup his way. I make my soup my way. It is what it is. So, so he was making his soup because he was out and didn't have any to eat for lunch. So I tell him about it. He's like, well, we'll package it back up. We'll take it back. Not today. Because we have to drive like a half hour to get to the city where the stores are. So I said, okay. So I was very disappointed about that. Then I opened the cutting board, and the cutting board was wrapped in plastic. And I thought, ooh, this has kind of a smell to it, right? And I thought, well, it's just because it's wrapped in the plastic. Again, made in China. So Tony washes it, dries it, and I start cutting up our salad makings and putting them in our bowl. And the more I'm cutting, the more this cutting board is smelling like really, really strong chemical smell. Now, I'll be the first to admit I'm very sensitive to these smells. All my personal stuff has no fragrance in it. And the older I've gotten, I don't know what happened, but somewhere along the way, I don't even use my essential oils anymore. I just cannot stand strong smells. So I bend over and I smell it to make sure that's what I'm smelling is the cutting board. And I just turned around and tossed it back in the sink. So I have a feeling the cutting board is going to go back too. And we paid $13 for it. And it just stinks. I'm sure it's the glue they used to put the wood together. So that's the story of my life. I have very strong feelings, especially since I've had cancer twice, about products and their safety, and it's very hard for me lately. Like, I cannot find pillows that I like. They're either too hard, too soft, too fluffy, too flat, or they stink. It seems like everything smells when I buy it new. And finding things that I want to use just seems like really hard all the time. My life has become complicated. So anyhow, that's how today went. So we ended up driving home, and it was still really, really windy. And we get in the house, and Tony started making his soup. And I started making our salads. Ouch. And we sat down to eat our salads. And then I warmed up my soup, and he warmed up, well, he was cooking his soup. So when his was ready, when it was done cooking from scratch, he had a bowl of his, and I had my bowl. And now I think it's after 3 o'clock already again. So I told him I was going to try and come and make this video. So I'm sure I've bored you to death already with my little tales of woe from yesterday and today. But some days are just like that. At least like the sun is shining. Martha. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, the wind is blowing. This finger is just going to be, oh, it's so sore. I'm constantly poking it. It just hurts so much. All right, I'm almost done with this part. Getting all the outer edge with a running stitch. That's a running stitch, right? I think. Yep, I'm just grateful for the sunshine. I have my sliding glass door open in here, so I'm not sweating from the sun coming through. All right. Oh boy. Calm down. All right, so I have this all done. That's all done. This is all done. That's all done. I have to do this edge, this, and across here. All right. Did I not have? Yes, I did. Thought I did. I'm using 2 strands each time. Come on. Excuse me. Oops. Sorry. I hit the cord for the phone. So, do I want to try and decide if I want to stitch these down first or stitch across there first? I think this is just barely making it there, so I think I'm going to stitch across here first. I'm going to do the running stitch, not the running stitch, the fly stitch again. I just like that stitch. Although, I'm going to have to come way over here to do it. Oh well. It's going to be a big fly. Yeah, really wide fly. On camera, Martha. Get on camera. I like this. I'm not usually one for graphic anything. Graphic paintings, graphic photos, anything. But I kind of like the graphics of these and the dots and then the more gentle flowers. I kind of like that. Something different for me. I just got to figure out what I'm doing tomorrow. So we are supposed to, if the wind dies down, we're supposed to go see our horse again out at the farm where he gets taken care of. Mr. Blue. The big horsey-shaped Labrador retriever we have. He is so sweet and gentle and kind. He's a good boy. We lucked out with him because every other horse I've ever had was pretty rough to get along with. Oh, see, I didn't let that. Darn. Oh well. It's going to be got a little wave in it there. That's okay. That's okay, Martha. You're doing fine. Do you guys ever give yourselves a pep talk? Or is it just me? Oh. Okay. One more, I think. One more in this direction. Okay. And then I'm just going to keep going here. So I lied. It wasn't one more in that direction. I'm going to overlap these. Sometimes this fabric I'm using for the back, this utilitarian fabric, utility fabric, outdoorsy kind of heavy-duty muslin-y kind of canvasy kind of fabric. Sometimes it's easy enough to poke through with the needle, and other times it just like really is a struggle. Untwist my threads. It's like I'll hit a spot and it must be really tightly woven together or something, because it is just not friendly at all. Okay. And then I'm just going to turn the corner here. This is going to be backwards, but that's okay. I'll make it work. Oops. Okay, I'm just going to jab in and out because it's a little bit awkward doing it the backwards way. I also need to make some whole wheat flour tortillas. I learned how to make tortillas, vegan tortillas. The only fat in it is a little bit of olive oil and flour and salt. I can't remember. I think there's baking powder in them too. I just have to learn not to overcook them. When I put them in the pan, I think I'm letting them overcook in the pan because they're not pliable, which is probably also because there's no shortening or anything like that in them. The tortillas that I buy, I look at in the stores that we have around here. We don't have Trader Joe's. We have them, but we would have to drive well over an hour, probably hour and a half to get to one. And we have to drive the same to get to a Whole Foods. And to be honest, I've not been impressed with Whole Foods, honestly. I don't think their food is as wholesome as they would want you to believe. So, anywho's, so if anybody knows of a really clean brand of flour tortillas out there. So I bought organic whole wheat flour. I've been making it with organic white flour, unbleached organic white flour, and Italian flour. But the Italian flour is more what you're supposed to use. It's that almost cornbready kind of flour. It's kind of semolina is what it is. And it's kind of like cornmeal. That's what I'm trying to think of. And it's... do I want to do something different here? I'm going to get on with this because time is quickly adding up here. I'm sure you're bored to tears by now. But anyway, so the semolina adds a little graininess to it. And it's good. They're good flour tortillas. But when I freeze them because I'm the only one eating them. Tony doesn't want them. And when I take them out of the freezer and let them thaw, or even when I eat them fresh, they're not real pliable. And I do believe that comes from leaving them in the pan you're supposed to leave them in a pan and let them bubble up. But some of my bubbles come out really dark and flaky, which means I burnt it, of course. And then my pan is very hard to clean too because it's a stainless steel pan, not a non-stick pan. So there's that, because I won't use non-stick pans. So I have a cast iron griddle pan that I'm going to try next, and maybe I won't have that problem with the pan. But plus I end up rushing them because I'm standing there and waiting. And I get impatient, so I turn the heat up, and that does not help any. I know my mistakes. I know what I'm doing wrong. You know, being good about stuff is hard sometimes. It's a lot of work. A lot of work being me. So, but I really like the flour tortillas. It gives me a break from all of the very plant-based foods that I eat. So, Tony still eats eggs, so that makes him a vegetarian. But we don't do dairy. We don't do meat or fish anymore. I wouldn't mind going back to eating fish once in a while, but I've been fine. I feel great about the way I'm eating, so at least there's that. Let's see where I'm going here with all this graphic stuff. Come on. That wasn't a very good one. So yeah, I've been enjoying, I usually eat one, maybe two a week. So I don't have them all the time. But Yeah, Tony's soup, he puts all sorts of beans in it, and carrots and potatoes, green beans. So he uses black beans, garbanzo beans, and kidney beans, and potatoes, carrots, green beans. Puts a lot of stuff in his soup. I put onions. He doesn't like onions. I feel like the soup doesn't have... I made the last 2 batches without onion, and ugh, just no flavor. So yeah, we each have our likes and dislikes, and we go with that. Makes life interesting. All right. Another successful heart in just barely under an hour. Did I get them all? Got the edges. That. There it is. I hope you can see clearly. I hope there was enough light. I'm not doing anything in between. These are small enough pieces that... Oop, that was my hip that popped. Oh, my pencil's up here. Usually it's down in my box. I hit you again. I'm sorry. Shaky, shaky. Okay. So this is... What day are we on again? 22. I can't remember. Less than an hour ago I said it. I can't remember. 22. Woohoo! Day 22 in the books. Now I gotta figure out what to do tomorrow. There it is again. So again, thank you very much for joining me. Hi and welcome to the newcomers, and I appreciate you being here. I don't know. I'm not here to teach you anything. I'm just here to chit chat and play and keep you company, maybe. Encourage you a little. That's what I like to do best, is try to encourage you to do what works for you, but do something. Make something. You know, making is really important, at least in my world. So thank you again, everybody. Really love you guys. Love you. I will hopefully see you tomorrow. We'll see. Love you. Bye.